Hey guys, welcome back to Hellstormwargaming. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're all having a great day. In the past few months, like most people, I've had a lot of spare time over my hands for some reason.
Yikes.
And with that spare time, what I've been doing is watching a hell of a lot of YouTube. Now, I don't normally watch much hobby content on YouTube. I'll normally just watch memes or commentary channels, but I've been stumbling across a lot of hobby related content, and one of the channels I did stumble on was Midwinter Minis. He's absolutely smashing it in terms of views and subscribers, and he makes really good fun content. One of the videos that did stand out to me was his speed painting sandstone Necrons, and I've had a Necron Army like sat in boxes for a while. It's kind of like stuff that I bought over the years and remnants from my previous Necron Army that I used to play like back in 6th edition basically. And I've been meaning to paint it for a while, I just haven't got round to it. And this scheme, because of how quickly you can do it and how cool it looks at the end, this scheme really inspired me to paint my own Necron army. So I kind of like dug it all out, put it all together, and realised that I had like nearly 2,500 points worth just sat around doing nothing. I mean, it's not a great army, don't get me wrong, it's just a bundle of units, but it's like a core of an army that I can build on. So seeing that video, I'm not going to teach you how to do it. This is kind of like my journey copying that scheme, and well, like I say copying, I kind of follow most of it, but I do deviate from it a little bit, and I also experiment with pigments at the end for the bases, which is quite fun, and I'll make it look quite interesting. So I'm not trying to rip off his schemes. If you want to learn how to speed paint Necrons in sandstone color, then go watch his video. If you want to watch me copy that scheme and take it my own direction, watch this video. I was in two minds whether I was going to release this video or not, because the last painting related video absolutely tanked. But I thought I've recorded it now. It's kind of like a test piece. I've learned a lot about recording such a large project. It's not something I've recorded like before. There's quite a lot of involved. So I try lots of different camera angles. I try lots of different techniques. Hopefully you enjoy this type of video. If you don't, that's totally fine. Just tell me. If you think I could do these things better, then let me know in the comments. And if you do, if there is a good feedback for it, then I'll look at doing something similar in the future. Otherwise, guys, enjoy this, how I copy kind of a speed paint video in
23 minutes and 27 seconds.
So first off, this is going to be a normal walkthrough. It's my walkthrough, so ready or not, here we go. The scarabs on little plastic sticks look crap, right? I want them scurrying on the floor, so I'm going to chop them all off of these bases already. Some of them are already stuck down, and some of them are sticking on pegs, so I'm cutting off all the pegs and crap. And then I'm going to go in with some slate. I'm going to put some slate down. I'm going to stick some random bits of old models, like helmets and whatever, to make it look like they're crawling over dead bodies or whatever, just make it look fancy. So next up, I'm taking a Grell and Earth, which is a texture paint. I'm going to be using this quite a lot, following Midwinter Minis did. So I'm just kind of like putting it in random places at the minute. This is on top of basing material already. It's just to give it the cracking effect that you would find, because I want to go for like a desert Marsy base. So with the Immortals, they come with these massive cracks, or like gaps in the shoulder pads. So because I'm putting crackle medium on them, I decided to use that to try and fill the gaps. You can go use plastic putty, but this is a speed paint. I'm not like going to be entering this army into any competitions. So I kind of put it around the model randomly, focusing on some of the flatter areas just to add a little bit more detail, and also applying it to the base at the same time. So it crackles quite nicely, and that's it all dry. So this next section, we're going to apply a Grell and Earth all over the models in random places, even these nicely painted ones. I asked Chris Frozin, one of the best Necron players and one of the best Necron painters in the world, to rate my painting so far.
Deathmarks look really cool. So the silver, really cool white heads, funky green shoulder pads. So we'll just play the video and have a look now. I like it. Yeah, so they got the great. What, Mikey? What the hell are you doing? Okay, I'm watching that again. No! Oh God, I can't watch that. No. Okay, well he's. I can't believe you just put texture paint all over. That's a really cool paint job. Right, now I don't want to look at the Overlord one now. The Overlord video. Again, this looks like a really cool paint job. Mikey, if you've put texture paint over this, I'm going to absolutely crucify you. Yeah, that's a sweet paint job. So he's got really cool green glow going on, and he's got obviously the classic watermelon in his hand, holding there. He is as well. Ooh! Mikey, what are you doing? Necrons are cool. Why are you putting texture paint all over them? No, I can't. I want to tear my eyes out. I can't believe what. I can't watch any more of this. Mikey, you absolute imbecile. making me so cross. Jesus Christ. Right, that's it. I'm off, Mikey.
And after slapping your nicely painted models with thick brown paint, here they are all done, just drying now. So that's with the Agrellan Earth all over them, and I think they're starting to look pretty cool. It started to crack really well, but one thing I did skip that I wish I hadn't was priming the models before applying it. It seemed to crack really well, but it was really flaky, and that's bad. So it was all kind of falling off of the unpainted models, whereas the painted models it wasn't really. So don't copy me, and make sure you prime them first. So for the rest of the bases and stuff, and the actual, some of the miniature, I was going to use this Vallejo texture paint stuff. It's similar to the GGB stuff, but it comes in a massive pot, and they have lots of different types. If you're basing a lot of models and you want to like maybe save money or you want a different style, then I definitely recommend checking this out. So I kind of like did 2 tests. I used the rough white pumice, which is ground texture initially. So I was going to apply this to the model to kind of like make it look more like it's come from the ground, but then I was also going to cover the entire base. So this one's kind of like, it's kind of like closer to like thick paint. So I used white pumice and I also used desert yellow, and I decided to go with desert yellow, but I honestly can't tell the difference anymore. So there's one immortal, there's a white pumice on its base, and I honestly can't tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply desert yellow all over the base, and then use a mixture of a little bit of desert yellow and white pumice on the actual model as well, just so we get different types of texture across the surface. With the scarabs, what I decided to do is kind of like dollop it on quite thick and then shove the scarabs into the dollop, kind of make it look like they're running through the surface rather than flying over it. Yeah, I know they fly, but they're just going to get broken because they're so little, so I'm just slapping them into the paint and hoping for the best. That's kind of like what I don't want flying little scarabs, I want scurrying scarabs. Scurrying. So at this point, I magnetized all of the models so I could move them around on these oven trays, and I also magnetized into my paint handle. I realized this was a bit of a mistake later, and I'll explain why when we get to it. But next what I did was I primed all the models. Again, taking all these nicely painted models and priming them was awfully funny. All that hard work wasted. I'm just using a black primer. It doesn't really matter which one you use. If you really want to know, it's called Miniature Paints Black Primer. And then it's mixed with Flow Improver because Flow Improver is bae. So if you use an airbrush without Flow Improver, sort your life out. And I repeat this for every single model. So I kind of like had a little bit of a chain going where I have like one tray where they're unpainted and one tray where they're primed, and I'm kind of like passing them over and swapping them over. As you can see, this is the unprimed one. Most of it holds except for the rays because they're a little bit heavy. And then because I was stupid, I had to go back with the Agrellan Earth and I went over all the, which was a ball ache. Then what I did, I just primed it with Xandri dust. Reason being is it's a lot easier because it's a light colour. To do it with a rattle can. Use a hairdryer to help bake it. It just helps like speed up the process and also helps it settle better. So then this boy ran out of Xandri dust primer, so I had to do it by hand with the airbrush, which was an absolute nightmare because I just primed them black. If I'd known I was going to have to airbrush them with Xandri dust, then I would have primed them white or grey or something light. But no, this idiot primed them black. Stupid. So here's a fun video of me transferring Xandri dust from one pot into a dropper bottle so I can actually use it. Do you know how annoying it is to take such a light colour and make it a flat surface because you want it to match the previously primed models? It's very annoying. It is very frustrating. It took bloody ages. Priming these models from black to Xandri dust probably took longer than painting most of the army. Don't be stupid like me. At this point, I absolutely YOLO'd from the original script of what Midwinter had set, and I decided to go in with the Zenithial highlight of Ushabti Bone. I want to cut some corners, but also make my life easier later, so I decided to highlight Zenithially, so from the top, and like pretend the sun's in the sky, and that's where the highlights are. So I did the same after that, but with Screaming Skull, just to go even lighter, just to make my life even easier later. Once I'd done all the airbrushing, I gloss varnished. This is like, in painting terms, it's like a save point because everything that you've already done is protected with super gloss. It's like gloss shield, protects from future F-ups. The other reason to gloss varnish as well is because we're going to be slapping wash all over the model, and what gloss varnish does, it creates like a smooth coat, and when it's smooth, unlike uneven paint, especially through an airbrush, it's just easy to wash, and there's like the surface tension breaks really easy. So imagine trying to paint a wash onto a rock and then painting a wash onto a mirror. It's kind of like the same concept, just not as extreme, but that's what you're working with. An unvarnished model has a rough texture like a rock, and a glossed varnish model has a smooth texture like a mirror. Now it's time, boys. It's time for the Agrax Earthshade. Grab a big old brush and start slapping that. So this Agrax Earthshade is actually mixed 50-50 with Lamy and Medium. Reason being is because I'm slapping it all over the model, I don't want like big pools to form and to be quite thick. So the thinner the paint, the easier it is to run. And we're already going over gloss varnish, it's going to run even more. So hopefully we don't get any like droplets that dry. And the fact that it's gloss varnished is going to help with the staining, and the fact that it's thinner will stop it settling on the top surfaces. So it should, in theory, just stay in the recesses. Or if it does stay on the model, it's going to stain it rather than streak it. I think Guy like made his own wash or something, but I ain't got time for that. So here's an epic montage of me slapping paint on him. Tip I learned for big flat panels, which I thought I'd point out, is to apply water all over the surface. So just clean water and then apply the Agrax Earthshade on top. Reason being is it just like runs together, which is really cool, and it is thinner because you're watering it down, but it just works better so you don't get horrible streaking, because that's what you want to avoid. So there we go, boys. After they're all done, they're all nice and washed, they're all looking super pretty, they all look good. You can leave them here if you want to. I mean, don't, but you could. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to the guide. I'm going to take that grey with a sponge and I'm going to start just prodding the model with it. I've never done any sponging before, so this is just some carry case foam and I'm just like using it as a stamp essentially. So then I skipped on washing it red because of the way I'm going to do the bases. I didn't want them to match too much because I'm going to go for a red base and a stony body. And this is where I lost about 3 years of my life because I took the Shabty Bone and I dry brushed every single model all over. This took way longer than I would have liked, but there you go, it's just what you gotta do. Just put in the time, make it look pretty. After that, I did the same with Screaming Skull, but I only focused on like the faces, the guns, the like more prominent parts, the bits that you're gonna look at, not really like, I didn't do like underneath the model or anything like that. And then I decided to lose even more of my sanity because I didn't think that was enough. I wanted even more contrast on the highlight. So I took white and added it to Shabty Bone and I edge highlighted it. Yes, edge highlighted every single model. This is supposed to be a speed paint and here I am edge highlighting like an absolute maniac. But I basically highlighted the faces, highlighted the hands, highlighted some of the guns, some of the just the interesting parts, none of the rubbish. Who cares about feet, right? Unless you're... So yeah, just focus on the hands, focus on the heads, all that stuff. The stuff that you're going to look at. Don't bother with the stuff you're not going to look at. Don't highlight the booty, highlight the face. See? Epic. Look how cool that destroyer looks on the left compared to the right. Look at them. Look how good they look. Ah! I probably should say that on all of the characters I spent a little bit more time, did a lot more highlights rather than just on the heads and the faces. And some of them are the elite units like the destroyers and the raids. I put a few more highlights on. But with the basic troops, faces, shoulders, that's about it. Also, you'll never see that deceiver again because I kept forgetting to paint it, so I took it out. So that was the stonework done. So the next job was to start on the blue. So I'm going to be doing most of it with the airbrush, but I'm going to put like a base coat down of Kantor blue. Because when you come in with the airbrush, you want to do OSL. If you've got like a base color down already, it'll be really easy to create that, like create the lights. Rather than trying to build up that color straight away with the airbrush. It's going to take you ages and you're going to end up overspraying loads and it's not going to look right. Also, I live paint every single Monday, so make sure you tune in live at 6 PM British summertime to watch me paint live with Jay from Mohawk Miniatures. Once I finished plugging my live stream and got all the blue base coats down, I started painting the base as well. So I went in with burnt umber because I'm going for a milesy orangey red colour. I went with a browny red to base the model. I also painted all of the details, like all of the rocks and the little bits of extra stuff that stuck on the base during the build process. So now's the time because I'm going to be using pigment to make the base. So paint up all of the base before we do any OSL and before we do any pigment. So there we go, boys. That's them all done. They've got the bases on, they've got the blues on. They're looking pretty nice. Now I'm going to go back in with the airbrush. So now I've got my fancy airbrush. I think it's a 0.15mm needle, I think. And we've got 4 colours that we're going to be doing the OSL with. I have a more in-depth OSL video separately if you want to watch that. There should be a link in the top right. But now what we're going to do is we're going to overspray with Kantor blue. So it's the same blue that we just base coated it with, but overspray where we want the glow to be. Super duper thin, loads and loads of flow improve, a little bit of paint. So thin it's almost like a glaze. Reason being is if we overspray we can just wipe it off with our finger as well. So it's just a case of solidifying the base that you've already done and then overspraying around it. Don't worry about going too much because when we add lighter colours it's going to look a lot better. Apply the blue on the part of the bit that is going to be blue and then all around it as well, which you think the light would hit. So next up, we've got Thousand Suns Blue. It's just a lighter blue. It really doesn't matter. Use any blues that you have. Use a dark one, use a medium one, use a light one, and then use a white. Alright, and now what you're going to do is you're going to spray in the middle and then kind of work your way out. You're going to spray most of the area, like say 75% to 80% of the area, but you can leave the recesses or the edges darker blue, more Cantor blue. You're going to repeat that process on everything. Take your time, make sure the paint is super thin, and just build the contrast up. Have something light in the middle and have it dark in the edges. And that's what it's all about, building contrast, having the darks dark and the lights light. Like the Gauss rod, which I'm overpainting. At the edges, where it meets the ends of the gun, where it's fixed in, I want those to be dark blue. And in the middle, I want it to be white, and that's the kind of like the fade we're going for. That's the transition. You can do the same sort of thing with a brush, but it's just much easier with an airbrush. Another tip as well is to not really clean out your cut between colours. Kind of like leave some of the previous colour in there when you're mixing your new one, because this helps with the blend, because you get the pigments to mix together, and it's not too stark, so it starts to look like a nice transition, rather than like having one colour, then having another colour slapped on top. So basically what I'm saying is to purposely contaminate your paint with the previous colour, just because it makes the transitions much smoother. Making sure you do these steps right is really, really crucial. You've only got 2 colours on the model, 1 extra, so maybe 3 if you include the colour of the base. So to make sure that you get every step right is really, really important. If you had lots and lots of colours, you could cut a lot of corners and be a little bit lazy with it, but you don't. So the 2 colours that you have are really important. So make sure you take your time with this step and make sure you get it right. So now I'm going to go in with white, and this is where the transition is really important, but make sure the white is mixed in with some of the blue as well. If you go with straight hot white, it will look crap. The transition will not work. It'll look really speckly and horrible, because white's a horrible colour to spray. So make sure you're just spraying a super duper 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 white blue. That's what you want. You don't want to be spraying pure white at this point. So just focus on the middle, focus on the really stark points, and if you wanted to, you could leave this here and just do the base. I'm going to go another step further, which I'm going to show you now, but it's totally up to you what you do. This looks okay. It looks like you've airbrushed it. Now I'm going to make it look like you put some effort in, when really you've put half the effort in that you could do. So now we've got all that done, I've decided to smash the Necron overload against another model whilst it was drying, so I've scraped it off already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with another gloss varnish. Again, we're using that like save point feature. So make sure you save, make sure you bank all your money, so you don't, if you die, then you get it all back. So we're going to go over with gloss varnish, and just it's going to help lock in all those colours, especially because we're going to be washing the blue. If you wash this really, really lightly sprayed blue straight away, then it'll actually run off, because the paint is so thin, it'll reactivate. So by gloss varnishing it and letting that set, it'll hold it in place when we go and work on it more. And that's what you can see I'm doing here. I'm going in with a wash now. I'm washing the recesses, and because of the gloss varnish, there's like no surface tension, so there's loads of what's called capillary action. So the wash is just running down the recesses without my brush even having to go that way. It's just running down, because that's where it's supposed to go. That's where it lives. So what we're doing here is trying to build contrast on that blue, boys. So when you spray with an airbrush, you get the light colour where you want it, but you get that light colour everywhere. You get the same volume of colour in the recesses and on the flat surfaces, and that's what you don't want. So where I've highlighted with the airbrush, you can see that even the recess is the same colour, and that's not how it'd be. If it was buzzing with energy and light lit up, then it would be light on the outside but darker in the inside. So build the recess, add some washes, add some highlights to your airbrushing. That's how you make it stop looking like it's being airbrushed and actually look pretty legit. That was legitness. Again, this is just like a white with some Araman blue mixed in, so it's closer to white than it is Araman blue, but it's just enough blue that it doesn't look like you're just slapping white on top. So then this is just essentially highlighting. So in the middle of the gems or the orbs or whatever, and then on the ends of the lights, or in the middle of the, probably on the Gauss rods, I'll probably leave those, but if there's any hard edges, then I'll probably highlight those, like on these death marks. So as you can see, it makes quite a big difference to this blue. So here's another epic montage of me taking the Cryptek from 0 to 0 in 30 seconds. Now this is them all here after the final fight, and they are looking super sexy, I should say. Just the bases to finish now. You could just paint the edge one colour and leave them that colour, but we're going to be working with pigments for the first time ever. So we're slapping some sexy black on the edge of the base just because I believe it helps frame the model. It helps contrast the base to the model, which is super epic. So this is where I start experimenting a little bit. I've kind of watched a couple of videos on pigments, so maybe I can give you a quick rundown. Essentially, pigments are paint without medium. It's just a powder, so make sure you don't get this on your carpet. I'm actually working on an oven tray. My model's already magnetized, as you saw earlier. And I actually magnetized the bottles to the tray as well, so it wasn't easy to knock them over. So basically I've got a black, I've got like a deep brown, which is very close to burnt umber actually. Then I've got some reds and some oranges, which are basically rust, and then I've got a brick dust colour. And essentially what I do is I use the black to build the shadows first, and then I go in with some browns and some reds to build up the Martian type colour. So it's really experimental. You kind of just put some pigment on, brush it in, mix it together, see what it looks like. If you've gone too light, then add some dark colours in. If it's not light enough, add some more in, for example. You can't really go wrong because it's essentially a powder. If you don't like it, you can just get a more rugged brush and brush it out. Just keep attacking it, or you can just add more pigment on top. It's like, it's not a binary process. It's like, it's just very random. You have an idea of what you want to do and then just roll with it. So here's a time-lapse of me working on this Wraith, and you might notice in a second I kind of look at the bottom. The reason being is because I magnetized them quite early, the pigments are quite susceptible to static, so they're actually magnetized into the magnet on the bottom of my model, which you don't want. So what I'd suggest is, if you're going to work with pigments, don't magnetize the model until after you've done, because it can mess with the way you're applying the pigment to the model. Also, I'm applying the pigment and then tapping it on this tray, and you can see there's loads of waste in the bottom. I'm not wasting that, I'm reusing it. You're mixing the colour anyway, it's mixed on the tray. Just apply that to the model and then touch it up afterwards. And then when you're done, take it outside, shake it off, wash it off, don't drop it on the carpet, don't make a mess, and you'll be left with something epic like this. So there you go, there the Necrons all done. I am really chuffed with how they've come out. I said I kind of stuck with the scheme for the most part, but I deviated a little bit slightly. I quite enjoyed this scheme, so make sure you go and tell Midwinter Minis to go and post on his video and tell him that it's a really good scheme and it's really awesome. So massive shout out to him. Massive shout out to Chris from twitch.tv/ChrisRosin for reacting to those videos. I knew he hated them. But make sure you go and give him a follow and go and tune into one of his live streams. He paints awesome Necrons, way better than I can. Otherwise, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I feel like I've learnt a lot. Again, if there's any feedback that you can give me, then do let me know in the comments. But otherwise, thanks very much for subscribing. If you have done, if you haven't, then you should. If you've liked it, then amazing. If you disliked it, then let me know why. Otherwise, have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.